Hey everyone, and today we're going to go over why your kettlebell clean just absolutely sucks and why you are absolutely bashing your forearms to bits. The kettlebell clean is probably going to be the most common exercise that you guys use no matter what it is, especially when you're using lighter, medium or heavy kettlebells. You're always going to have to at some point clean that kettlebell up, and it's going to be the most common exercise that you use because it's going to be the gateway into getting it up onto your shoulders and stuff like that. Various exercises, they always come from a clean. So a clean to me is probably one of the first exercises that you should ever learn and you should put a lot of practice into, because it's going to be the most common exercise that you guys are going to be using whenever you're training at home with kettlebells. And the main thing that I see and the most questions that I get is why people keep cocking it up is because it's just smashing their forearms, absolutely ripping them to bits, and they're not getting it right. This is an exercise that you need to get right, because when you get to heavier kettlebells, you're going to need it, because you're not just going to be able, it's going to be a bit more brute force to get it up, but you're not going to be able to get away with the same mistakes and poor form that you're going to get with lighter kettlebells. So the main thing that I keep seeing people doing is that when they are doing a kettlebell clean, is they're almost flicking it up and over. So when they're starting out, they're going like that. See what I mean? They're just flicking it over the top. The problem with that is the kettlebell clean, when the kettlebell's going to come over the top of the hand, it's going to start hitting your forearms, and eventually over time it's going to end up bruising it. You're going to need that bit of momentum as you get to the heavier kettlebells, but for the lighter kettlebells, it's just going to naturally flick over. So there's a technique that you need to use to get the kettlebell clean. You need to get it done right. So I'm going to give you a few pointers and a few tips to stop this massive ball of iron from smashing your forearms. First of all, you don't want to be flicking it over at all at any point. The kettlebell clean is almost a rotation. You're almost, when you're bringing your arm up, you're almost making like a gunslinger move. You're bringing your elbow back and down and allowing that kettlebell to curve round and sit nicely into that position. When you are coming out of the kettlebell clean, you don't need to flick it over. You sort of just want to twist your pinky to the floor and let that kettlebell roll down back into position and come back up. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. So what, like I said before, the most common thing that I see is that when people are doing it, they'll set up, they'll do the clean, and they'll let it bring over. And that's something that we don't want, because it's just going to bash your wrists and your forearms. So what I need you to do, instead of looking at that and trying to get it up as high as you can, you need to be meeting that kettlebell halfway. You need to be bringing your elbow back and down and almost allowing the kettlebell to rotate around. It's more of a rotation of the wrist than it is a flick of the wrist. So you're going to set up, you're going to hold the kettlebell at the far end, which is the place that I like to hold it the most. When you set up, bring the kettlebell in, and you're almost allowing it just to roll back and make sure your elbow's pointing down. You're not catching it up here. You don't want to be flaring it out. You want to keep everything tight, everything close to the center, because when you work with kettlebells, further out it is, the heart is going to be further away from the center of gravity. It's going to make it a lot harder. So as you're coming out of it, pinky to the floor, you're just letting it fall back down. You're not grabbing it, you're not flicking it up and over, because you don't want to catch it up here. You're not catching it there, you're catching it here, close to your chest, and you almost want to cup it in. Bring it up, power through with your legs, elbow back and down, and rotate your wrist round so it's caught in this little pocket. And then to get out of it, flick round, elbow back and down. All you're doing is flicking it round. You're not catching it up here. You don't need to catch it up here. That's harder, that's higher, more room to travel. You've got to catch it higher. It's just not worth it. You want to be catching it down here. And that's all you're doing. That's all you're doing. And as you get to the heavier kettlebells, this one's just a 20, so that's 16, this is a 20. Same thing again, I like to hold the kettlebell at the far end of the kettlebell. And when I'm doing it, you just bring it around. You don't need that extra flick. You don't need to flick it over, because that's just taking it away from your center of gravity. Makes it harder. Same principle applies as you get heavier. You're going to have to put a bit more force in. This one's a 28, so you're going to need a bit of body English, a bit of momentum to get that kettlebell up. But the same routine applies. Because as you get heavier, you don't want to be going further out or flicking it. It's harder. You're not going to be able to get that kettlebell over. You need to be keeping it close to your center of gravity. So again, I like to rock the kettlebell, hold it at its far end, because when you hold it at the far end, it allows you to keep that momentum. In, swing, there. And I'm still holding it at this side. It's allowing me to get that rotation. Pinky down, back up, pinky down, back up. At no point do I ever flare my elbow. So yeah, that is it for the kettlebell clean. It's going to be the number one exercise that you need to perform. You're going to have to learn it, you're going to have to master it, because it's going to be the most important tool. Because whenever you start going through kettlebell exercises, the newer are going to all involve a clean at some point. Because like I said, the kettlebell clean is the gateway, even if you don't think it is. If you're not using it in like a complex, or you're doing it as a standalone exercise. If you just want to do shoulder presses, there's nowhere for your kettlebells to be. It's you, the floor, and the kettlebell. So you've got to clean that kettlebell up to be able to press it. So it's the number one exercise, in my opinion, that you guys need to learn, master, get control of. Because you don't want to be banging your wrists, especially if you're going to be training every single day. So yeah, quick tutorial on the kettlebell clean. I don't want you guys smashing your wrist, and I've seen some videos out there where people are just absolutely fudging it up. So I want to clear it up, give a few pointers. Remember, pinky to the floor, elbows tuck in, you're almost gunslingering it, and letting that kettlebell fall around into this position, because closer it is to your body is the strongest position that you're going to be in. So yeah, so guys, if you like this tutorial and explanation, ask me if there's any more exercise that you would like me to cover. I know a few people struggle with the kettlebell snatch, so I may go over that one. And if you do like it, please leave a like, subscribe, and see you guys in the next one.